purchase both of your books right here. I know the other one I was gonna purchase, but you were sold out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a chance to read both books. I have interviewed people about children's books, but this is a little different
Mm-hmm.
because yours is basically like grade school, and
Mm-hmm.
other people I've interviewed, they're either high school or
Mm-hmm.
college. This is more like I said, grade school for kids and stuff. So I guess I'm just want to start off and ask you like, what's your inspiration for you writing these two books?
Yeah, actually I have four books. And so the first book is entitled Act Your Age, Shawn Trenell. It's an orange book.
Mm-hmm,
I had sold out that day. And so that was my very first book that I published in 2018
mm-hmm,
based on my former elementary teaching experience. So I used to be a teacher in Jefferson County Public Schools in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I taught fifth grade. And so before that, I worked with a national literacy program, and it's called Freedom School. And
okay.
it's rooted in the civil rights movement, and they use socially just, culturally responsive books. And I learned a lot as an undergrad. I was in school to be a teacher, but I learned about this program, learned a lot about my own history, and just
Hmm.
the way that they engage with children. I learned better practices than what I was learning at the University of Louisville at the time. And so when I became a teacher, I was able to kind of already have somewhat, that teaching experience.
Hmm.
And I did not use the Freedom School way my first year. I just kind of conformed to the traditional public school way. And it was very uncomfortable for me because I was so used to this, Freedom School model. And at the end of the year, I kind of felt convicted, like, my students still love me, but I was very strict with them, like, sit straight, get in the line, and, very much like, we're gonna try it again, I'll wait. And so at the end of the year, one of my students that was like which what many teachers would call a problem student, he was just like, I'm gonna miss you, Miss Hogue. I'm gonna miss you. And I was like, he used to accidentally call me mama sometimes the way we interacted. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any children, but I feel a lot of my parents, celebrate me as a mother. They call me, say Happy Mother's Day because I have that motherly nature with my students. But at that moment, I felt kind of convicted, like, was I too hard on him, And so that summer, I was reflecting on my first year. And as I was reflecting, it turned into not just like a journal entry, but it turned into me developing Shawn Trenell, this character, and that was 2011. And this character thinking about how a child must feel the way that adults interact with them. Like, if I'm like, at your age, I'm sure they're like, what does that mean? Because they are acting their age. They're 10 years old. So that's kind of how the character came about. And then years later, it took me a while to figure out how to publish it, how to like actually, I found an illustrator, the one that worked the best for me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt depicted Black children the best. And so I ended up publishing the book. And that was the most popular. I'm sorry that I sold out that day, but the first book, that Act Your Age, Shawn Trenell, which is featured on the back of that second book you have. If you look from the back, yeah, there's the first book at the bottom, the orange one. Um, a lot of my friends that are principals or school counselors, they use that as a way to kind of work with like their problem students that get in trouble, because it is a lesson for children on what does it mean when adults or parents say act your age. It really means be careful, be responsible. But it's also a lesson for adults to think about how we communicate with children, to be, realistic with our expectations. And so that's how that came about. The second book that you were able to get is about, it's a different situation. Well,
The Black girl.
no,
This.
the second one, the blue one, the one you held up, Shawn Trenell, the greatest of all time. He is being kind of mean to others. He putting others down. So he kind of learns a lesson. He's really smart. He's really athletic, but he puts others down. So he learns a lesson about humility. So that's a two-book series. And then I wrote a nursery rhyme book. It's called Never Catch Me, Said the Bee. And it's based on a song my mom used to sing to us growing up. And it has a
Mhm.
bumblebee and it has a coloring sheet. So that's more for the younger readers.
Mhm.
And then the last book you just held up, Black Girl, Why Are You? So that's the newest book. It came out this year in April.
Yeah, you were saying that at the expo, like this one. I remember you saying that. That
Hmm.
was one that you had.
Yeah, and so that was more of an affirmation book. I was asked to perform it as a poem at a festival and years ago, and so it was really widely received. So I decided to make it into like an affirmation book for Black girls and women, because we need it. We need as much positivity. So I just decided
Hmm.
make it like a beautiful kind of collection of illustrations and words to affirm us. So, yeah.
Okay. Girl, you done summed up a lot. But that's good because everything you just said though is well, you went more in depth, but it's in your book. Like
Mhm.
how you started, you dedicated the book to your mother.
Mhm.
Um, my condolences with that.
Thank you.
Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you dedicate these books that you have written to your mom and stuff, and basically your background, how you started, where you came from, and different things like that, which was interesting and stuff. And I'm glad you said, because I was going to ask you, did you have children? Because most people who are writing about children, either they have adopted, raised kids, or they have their own. So that's good that you shined a light on that. That's most of your inspiration came from just teaching, and then you obviously deal with students who come from all different backgrounds. So it's just something probably just depicted and, decided to write about. But the question I was going to ask you is so what keeps your creative juices flowing when you keep writing all these different books?
It's funny you say all these because I feel like it's a lot, but like compared to other people, they publish constantly. Like they have a whole lot of books. But for me, I don't feel like I have a whole lot of books published. But for some, they're like, dang, you got 4 books, that's a lot. But I kind of pace myself. Like I don't really like to rush my publications because it really is very I'm very passionate about the work, and
Mhm.
it's really about what comes to me. Like it has to be an idea that, like something that kind of happened, kind of like prompt me to want to write the story. So like the newest book was prompted because of how the people responded when I performed the poem. I got like a standing ovation, and then people came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh my God, do you publish poetry? I would love to buy it." And then I was just kind of like, it was Black History Month and Women's History, and I was thinking,
Mhm.
man, this would be a good contribution for, Black women. And then I put like the historical figures throughout. So it has to be kind of like a meaningful connection, like something kind of happened. As you said, like I think a new book that I'm thinking about, I haven't really, outside of work and other responsibilities, with me losing my mother in 2024. Also, the newest book, I launched it on her birthday, which was April 2025, like the first heavenly, her second heavenly birthday. So I had like a big celebration with my friends and family, and kind of
Mhm.
just the way she raised me kind of honored that and kind of shared that with everyone. But I'm thinking about a story about, just like grief for children also, because I know me going through that, but also from the perspective of a child. We just lost where I live, someone who does a tutoring program in our community after school. She was a giant in our community, and a lot of the children. The pastor of the church that hosts the tutoring program, he asked me to come with him to deliver the news to the children because they're like,
Mm.
kindergarten through fourth grade. And he's
Yeah.
like, Dr. Hogue, because I work in literacy and language, he's like, how can I break this news to them? Like, what's a good way for me to facilitate this conversation? And in that, I was like, well, me, because I do books, like, I think the best way is through a story, and so we found a book that was dealing with grief, but there's not many, of course, that deal with like African American or diverse children. So I feel like that would be a good window for me to kind of think of how can we talk to children about grief in our community. So that might be that's kind of you in a long way. That's kind of how I come across, like how I come up with the ideas to publish new
Mhm.
books is through my own experiences, through when I teach in a community or my former experiences, like real life events that I observed and what children go through. I try to think about the child and not what I think they would like, but actually what they would want to pick up and read about, what they would want to learn to from or what want to relate to. So yeah,
So you just try to be in a place of a child's mind, kind of
exactly.
go there in that, yeah, in that
Mhm.
moment to kind of see
Mhm.
how they would react to the situation.
Right.
You
Mhm.
start off pretty good to me.
Thank you.
So just keep that in mind, keep going and stuff. And I know you are. And I think that's a good idea, like what you're doing, because death doesn't have an age. And,
Mhm.
kids don't tend to grasp it in a way that adults would.
Mhm.
I think that's a very good start. Not to so, and I know you won't probably make it. Uh, I don't know how if that's a good word. Depressing,
No,
kind of.
I mean, it's grief is a grief can be seen as depressing in some, ways. I mean, you can't overlook that, but I think there's so many other emotions too. I think it's important to capture all the different things. I don't know if you've ever lost someone, I'm sure you have close to you.
Mhm.
You go through all the motions. I don't think it's a way to avoid that, but
No.
I think like you said, developmentally children they don't understand it. And so I think it's a way you have to talk about grief. So it wouldn't be upfront and, so direct as it would be like for like a grief help book for an adult. So I think with me having my background being an expert in literacy and language, having my PhD in that, like I think that's another reason I enjoy writing books because I've studied developmentally appropriate ways to
Mhm.
write for children. I've analyzed books and text. So that kind of gives me that understanding of how to write for that audience. And I think people that go into writing they have ideas, and they write, but I don't think they have that background of analyzing books or really understanding children developmentally, like what's appropriate when you're writing, like vocabulary or like even the illustrations and things like that. And so I think people should get support if they don't have that background because a lot of times some books are inappropriate, like they don't understand that
Right.
there's a method to this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I just said like that depressing is because I didn't know if that's the right term to use
Hmm.
for it, but you know,
Developmentally appropriate, yeah, for
yeah,
the children, yeah.
right, right.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, because some kids with that, they just I understand there's going to be feelings of being sad and things of that nature, but I think like if you start off with people thinking of the situation in a positive manner, like what do you remember about the person that was good and things of that nature.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think like on that perspective, not saying that's what you would do with you with
Hmm.
on the right, how you would convey the message, but I think it'd be more a open discussion when you
Hmm.
put it in that perspective for a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anywho, though, um, so do you see yourself, like I know you was talking about the one boy who was the trouble kid in your class. Do you see yourself though as any of these kids in your stories? Like growing up, do you see yourself and that's such of a expressive, like with the Black girl, why are you so, do you see yourself like as confident and self-aware as this,
Mhm.
as that character in that book?
Yeah, so the Shawn Trenell character, it was developed from that experience, but it wasn't just him, it was a lot of other experience. Like it was based on not just him, but he stands out as very memorable. So I definitely see I definitely see myself even in Sean Trenell, because the saying that I use, act your age. I always start out when I read it with children, has anyone been told to act your age before?
Mm,
And I'm sure like all every time I read it, adults and children all raise their hand, like adults say, yeah. I mean, whether it's like your parents or your grandparents saying, you better act your age, or sometimes it's like we're acting too immature, or it's like you're for girls, it's like you're acting too grown. So
exactly.
I've thought about even doing a spinoff of, a story like book for a girl character, a Black girl character, because we got that a lot growing up, like our sassiness, like, and I've been asked to write a story because, that book, my friends that work with mentoring Black boys, they buy a bunch of those and they give it to the boy. They're like, where's the girl book? And I have the poem book, but I want to do like a storyline book like Sean Turnell for a little girl because,
Oh, okay.
like I said, we have so many situations where it's like you better act your it's the act your age is different. For boys, it's like usually like you're being too immature, you need to
Uh-huh.
grow up. For us, it's like you better act like you're acting too sassy, or you
I know.
down, or maybe they're saying your attitude or whatever. And I remember growing up when I was told, I didn't understand it because it's just like you're growing up, hormones, or what parents say, smelling
All
yourself.
over the place.
When my mom would say act your age, I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? I think that could be now, kind of explored too, because parents need to be explicit like what they mean, because I didn't remember what I was doing exactly. And then my mom would say, well, you're talking back, and I didn't feel like I was. And so, so I think we can
We,
all relate to that, like
uh, you
as
are so
children.
right about that. But you kind of though, as a kid, can I think so. It's like a double-edged sword because you kind of know what they're talking about in a way. Like
And sometimes,
if
yeah.
you're 10 and they tell you act your age, I took it as like, let's say if my mom said, stop acting like that, you acting like, and she probably named one of my little cousins or something,
Mhm.
and they're younger than me, I'd be like,
Yeah,
oh, okay. I'm
right.
like them and I'm not their age. So why am I continue to, yeah, like things of that nature. But I know exactly what you mean.
Mhm. It's just those phrases. I think adults, instead of like using those type of phrases, they need to be more explicit and say, your mouth is coming off as disrespectful, or the way your tone, it needs to be more explicit, because sometimes your mom gave an example, but sometimes I didn't get an example, and it was just like I didn't really truly know what I was doing because I just had a sassy personality, and I was just being myself. And I think it needs to be like, hey, you just rolled your eyes, or because I didn't realize I was rolling my eyes sometimes. I was just that's my personality. And so
Right.
I think just kind of capturing the essence of like, especially me being a Black girl from the West End of Louisville, like growing up, in the Black church and having all these experiences from my own childhood, that I know being around young children, they have those same experience. We have, as the Black people, we have shared
Mm-hmm.
experiences, the way we're raised, our family, I think it's important to capture those in a character. Children can relate to it.
That's so true. You can write so many different dynamics with that. Like
Yeah.
you said earlier, you can play around with it. You can have so many different dynamics when it
Mhm.
comes to kids and stuff because of, I mean, it's just a part of growing up.
Yeah.
Like you just imitate, and people have to understand that our parents are not our only influence.
Right.
especially nowadays with social
Media.
media and
Mhm.
right, with social media and you got school
Your
and
peers. Yeah.
it's just so many things that's involved. So I guess parents are just trying to, build the foundation
Mhm.
that like I'm instilling you with this,
Mhm.
but you have to convey it to the outer world,
Mhm.
But then again, like I said, you go outside and you see different things because not we weren't all raised the same. Yeah, we all are black and we probably come from same communities, but every household may have different values. So
Mm, definitely.
I think like that's a major part influence too. Yeah. So do you see yourself being more flexible with your writing or like going away from children's books to something else?
Yeah, actually, I am pretty flexible. So I write a lot of academic articles. I'm a professor at Purdue University.
Mhm.
I do write a lot of scholarships. So a lot of my articles are published in like teaching journals. So this is completely different from the children's books, but you can find articles on like me working because I train teachers on how to become reading teachers. So I write articles about the things I do with them to prepare them. So for example, I read a LGBTQIA picture book with my pre-service teachers a couple of years ago, and the reason I like they kind of got uncomfortable, some of them, and some of them were more accepting. Um, but it wasn't for no reason, but they didn't know that I couldn't articulate why I did what I did
Okay.
because it was me being culturally responsive. What happened was after my first class, I always have my students write me a personal note of what they want me to know about them. And
Okay.
my students wrote me and said, I wish my teacher knew I went by they, them pronouns. And I had been
Mhm.
misgendering them, and their peers had been misgendering them. And me knowing that and how they probably felt, kind of like, their people are labeling them as she, her, and they did not go by those pronouns. I used this opportunity to read a book and introduce the class to gender fluidity, all of these terms. They didn't know that I did that because I got that personal note. And so they were upset because they were like, is this appropriate, for da 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 da? And I said, well, you may have students someday. I couldn't tell them it was somebody in my class, but I had at the end, they knew because they had name cards, and at the end of the lesson, I made it real because I said, okay, everybody add your pronouns on your name cards. And we're going to reintroduce ourselves. It was like our third class. And
Mhm.
when they saw that that student said they, them, it was kind of like most of them got it. They were like, uh-huh, that's why Dr. Ho read this book. But one of them dropped my class. She was so upset with me reading that book. And so I wrote a paper about that whole experience and how that, went out, how I selected the book, how I
Mhm.
planned the lesson, the discussion, and how I introduced it. And so, yeah, I do have work out there like that. I just recently published one last week about how I'm mentoring a graduate student to work with undergraduate students and stuff like that. So I have a wealth of different types of
I
written.
see. I
Yeah.
see. That's good though. Does that make you nervous knowing everything is changing so drastically with everything? You have to consider people's feelings and stuff. Do you feel that you have to consider that when you are writing? Like, does that break your creativity? I guess knowing, like you just said, the one student who dropped your class because you read, about LGBTQ plus community.
Mhm.
Does that make you feel a certain type of way with that?
Honestly, this I felt some type of way about her dropping because, you take it personally, like, did I do something? But in the end, um, I knew that I was making a comfortable learning space for the other student, and I know that I'm preparing teachers, future teachers, because you know, it's not about our personal viewpoints or like our political affiliation or any of that. The bottom line is we have to live in a world, a society with all types of different people. And if you're going to work in public service, indirectly with community, with children and families from all backgrounds, then I it's my responsibility to give them the tools and the language and model, how to be professional and how to go about that if you have a situation like that that comes up. And we do have laws and policies around book banning and everything in Indiana, and I'm not promoting anything. I'm not promoting an agenda. This was a situation where it came in my face because there was somebody in my class that felt unwelcome, and so if I'm training them to be teachers and a situation like that happens in their class, whether it be, and it's not just about gender or sexual, this was really not even about sexuality. It was
Mm-hmm.
about gender, and I think people mix that up a lot. Those are two opposite things. It's about gender, whether it's about disability, whether it's about a child that maybe is wearing a hijab on their head, or they're from a different religious background, you know, or it's from, somebody, a Jehovah's. I had a child that was a Jehovah's Witness that did not celebrate holidays when I was
Mm-hmm.
there, and they were just like, "Can I stay in the classroom? I know I can't, can I still eat lunch here?" So it's not about that. I think we make it very much complex by, "Oh, you're promoting or you're pushing this," and it's not that. It's like you have a class of almost, I had 27 students from all different backgrounds, and I have to be able to reach them. And so you have to be able to prepare teachers for all those different things. So, yeah.
Very well said and put. Like I said, everything is just changing so drastically. Everyone has their own perspective of how they see things
Mhm.
and what they will and won't tolerate. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just, we can't
Yeah,
make
that's
everyone, um, you try, but you can't please everyone.
no.
Um, but you can make people aware and you
Yeah.
can teach people about things and show them whether or not they uh, still agree with it or not. But as long as you have that information and you
What they
understand,
do with it. Yeah.
I mean, that's as far as I think that a person could go with that. It's
Yeah,
just,
just me personally, I'm not one to just ignore a situation. So my student wrote me that I could have just said, "Okay, I'm gonna call you this," and
mhm,
let her go on about. But I felt like I needed to let everybody know. She didn't feel comfortable telling it, like correcting people like that were misgendering her. So, well, them, and I'm doing it now. Them, they were misgendering them. So,
mhm.
and it's a learning process for me even. Like it's not just that, but all kind of different things like you said, media, chat GPT, AI, all of this stuff coming about. It's
Mhm.
things we have to unlearn and kind of teach ourselves. And so teaching these college students, like it's not an ending, just the way you were, like you said, even in the Black community we have all kind of different backgrounds, understandings, and you're never going to stop learning. It's not like, "Oh, I stopped learning at this point." It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know something, but ask questions and just be kind of open to information, and that's what I try to model for them.
Right, because as I said before, you can't, as long as people are, they have knowledge of what's going on.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's all we can really, at the end of the day, do. Like just make
Mhm.
people aware of what's going on and stuff. Now, the part if they accept it or want to go along with it, that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
But I think that was good what you did for that one student, like to let them let people be aware of, we are all different. And I mean, that's just life. Some things everybody's lifestyle people may not agree with, but that's that's the world we live in now. So, but anyway, on a softer note, um, I know with these books you were with that was your publisher at the Black Expo, right? The I forgot the lady's name. The
Oh, no, she's not my publisher, but she's a friend. Her name is Julia Royston. And she publishes books. A lot of the people there, BK Royston is her company. Um,
Mhm.
she has helped me with like layout, some like with my newest book, she kind of I had everything and she just helped me kind of like with layout and kind of like just the final touches. But she didn't help me with like writing or idea or anything like that. But she helps with all types, any of your book needs. She published all the authors' books there. She's like a local publisher, Indiana, Kentucky. Um, and her name is Julia Royston. BK Royston is her business. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, she gave me her card at the expo. I seen her when me and my husband was promoting his
yeah,
book.
she's been doing it for a long time. She's
Uh-huh.
been in the game a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't know if that everyone that was in that section, I'm gonna say in her, but in that
It
section,
was her booth. Yep.
I didn't know if all you guys were her clients or if
I
it
think all of the rest were, she just includes me. She's kind of like one of my mentors. So I self-published my first book and I was promoting it online in Louisville. And she came to my book launch and she was just like, I'm just so proud of you. I had never met her. And she's just a woman of God. And like from there, we became friends. And whenever she has events or things, like she always tells me so I can just join with her and promote my books. And she recently told me about an event in Indianapolis at the main library. I just went there, I want to say in the beginning of August. And then she told me about an event on Juneteenth. I was there for Juneteenth. Um,
okay.
and so she's just really been a blessing, like just to connect, network whenever I'm available. I don't, she does this full time. Like I don't do it full
I,
time. So yeah, it's like more of like a passion, like a not a hobby, but like, and I'm kind of integrating it more into like my research. But she does this, she helps authors full time and she has a lot of authors that she's
yeah,
helped.
I see. I'm like, because I didn't really get a chance to talk to her, speak with her too much at the expo because you know you guys everybody kept coming by and stuff. But she gave me her business card, so I'm gonna reach
We would
out.
love to be interviewed too. Yeah, she has a, and she would interview you on her platform as
I
well.
know she told me that she does
Yeah.
this too, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just starting. So she's like, oh, we'll keep
Or
going.
your husband, or your husband. Yeah.
Uh-huh. She's very like you said, she's very sweet. I like her personality and her aura about herself. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll reach out to you. But I'm glad you mentioned like you self-publish. So when you self-publish, um, and that's just for the two books, right?
I self-published all of my books. Yeah.
All
So
of them.
yeah.
Okay.
And she helped just with layout stuff. I didn't do the illustration, so I kind of had to figure that out by myself. But someone like Julia, she is somebody that if you are not able to try to figure that out, she would help you. She does consultations for free. So if you're watching this or and you're needing help, because what happens is I don't provide services to others because I don't have the capacity because I have a full-time job and
Mm-hmm.
like it's a lot that goes into it. So like people write me and say, "Hey, can you help me publish my book?" And I'm like, even though I don't have the time I think about it, I'm like, okay, did you write it yet? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, I cannot help you. That's like the very beginning stages. Like those people, they need help with the idea, they need editing, they need formatting. And so Julia is somebody that can do that. And she was trying to get me to get into that, but right now at the stage I'm at in my life right now, I don't have the capacity. So like a lot of people come to me and I just kind of reference them to Julia or any other publishers I know about. Because she can help from idea development, finding an illustrator to, helping you promote it, helping you advertise it. She does she's like a one-stop shop for
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's
is
been doing it like you said for a while because, as I said, I've met her before. It's just
that a lot of people know her. Yeah.
many, many years ago. So,
I
um,
figured it out on my by myself, like my promoting, like I just did it, and I have an Instagram, it's author Breanya. I've built that network,
mhm.
kind of promoting my self promotion and everything. But if you're somebody that kind of struggles with that, then she can walk you through that. It's like and help you kind of build that platform. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's good, girl. You signed up so much. Um, do you think about ever, I know you did self-publishing, but do you ever think about traditional publishing, like going through someone to,
It's a good question. Yeah. So, I've been going to like conferences, like one in particular, NCTE, National Council of Teachers of English, and at their fair, they have like Scholastic and Macmillan, and like the
mhm,
diverse books, like brown books, reader, young black, and so it's a process for that. So I have thought about pursuing that. You have to find a way to get your work to like an agent and then kind of
mhm.
go through that whole process. So yeah, I definitely want to see about that. And if not that publishing route, seeing about writing about just the process of my books and like a text, like another type of like an academic publication. But
Okay.
I mean, I would love to get with a major publisher. I've met other professors that have written books about historical figures through civil rights movement, and they are with like the bigger name, like Scholastic or and
Yeah,
they kind of gave me some insight, but it's just a process, and so I need to take time to figure that out. When you it's pros and cons to each way. Like the way I have it now, I kind of have more access to like the price I want to sell my books for.
mhm,
If they can buy them through Amazon, or I can just order them and ship them to people and kind of set that price. I
mhm.
can choose what I write, how I write it, my
I was
illustrator.
gonna say your creative,
Yeah. My
yeah,
creative, so if I go through a major publisher, then they're gonna have more say so in like how my writing looks or what illustrations look like, or I don't have as much freedom with that. And so and but you have a larger distribution, like
right,
across the nation, and they kind of handle that. You'll be at larger events and all that. So, and you don't get as much profit because you're paying like other,
of course.
people and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, because they're handling basically all the stuff that you would be doing on your own.
exactly. And it's way more people. So right now I'm grateful for what I have, but it's like very small scale, like local states and networks. But with them, it would be more national.
Mhm.
So yeah.
You're pretty good with like how you're doing everything so far,
Yeah,
because if you think about it, if you go through traditional, what you said about your job, who knows, you might have to quit that.
if it gets too big. Yeah. I mean, I am 30. I'm 38. So like if I'm looking at it like, oh, this is something I may want to transition into or something like that, then
Mhm.
it may be a good idea. But I haven't really thought too much about it right now because I'm just like prioritizing other things that I'm involved in. So yeah.
That's good though. I mean, but you know that you still have that option to do that. That's
Yeah,
really, yeah,
definitely.
that's a really good thing. Um, so dang, Brie, I'm sorry, but I'm on. Uh, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you ever thought about using AI to write any of your work?
I haven't. I'm really warming up to AI because, it's just with me teaching graduate students and undergrads, we have this issue of plagiarism right now, and like like
Mhm.
using it to write papers, and so we have to run it through systems and kind of like really drill our students, like they use it to write their lesson plans, everything. That's not good because they're in school to learn how to do that stuff on their own. So I have been really trying to teach them like original, like how to use it as a resource, but not like copying everything from it. And then also making sure you're citing what tools, your AI tools or chat GPT, whatever, in
Hmm.
your reference section. So I recently, it was funny, I wrote a recommendation letter for a friend, and um my writing, that's something excel in personally. Like other content, like I'm kind of average, but writing is something I'm really good at that, you know. So I wrote it, and she decided to run it through chat GPT or whatever. And when they brought it back, it was nothing changed but like a few things. So that made me feel good. It was like
Hmm.
transition words. That was it. Like
Okay.
they added, and I was like, oh, okay. But I
Like
don't
better,
really
but
feel
when words like that.
like additionally and in
Yeah.
conclusion,
Okay.
like stuff like that. But they didn't change any, like they kept a lot of my original. So I don't really feel the need for me personally, unless it's like I'm doing like charts and I need to condense those, or I'm trying to do summaries, or it can help with that because I'm wordy. One of my students, my elementary students from my summer literacy program that I work with here, he and his mom, he's like a first grader, he came to Freedom School, and he was like, Dr. Ho, I wrote a book about you. And it was so creepy at first because they had found my picture online and like made me a character in this book,
Okay.
using AI. And I looked at it, I was like, what? And so they had like made a book about with me as a character in the book. And I was like, that is a lie. And so, but it was very like,
That's where we at now.
it was cool because she makes little books for him at home
Yeah.
instead of, and I think that's cool. Like instead of having to buy like actual books, like she's able to generate little stories that he can read at home.
Hmm.
And so I think that's really cool, a cool feature of AI. I think, of course, I'm not against it. I think there are a lot of benefits. I'm just learning and continuing to test it out and see how to use it best. Yeah. What
Okay.
about you? Have you used it a lot or?
I use it for little things, but I never thought of using it as far as for creative purposes.
Mhm.
Like, because that's what I like to do. I like to have my own thoughts, and I don't want a computer telling me what I'm thinking or should be writing about. It's cool to play with it to kind of see what they would come up with, but I I couldn't say like with you, I couldn't say that I would never use it, but I
It's
kind of like the sense of having my own creativity. It's
Mhm.
like if you had a journal, you wouldn't ask AI to write your journal.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool though. I just need to get like my friend actually, when you said this morning, he sent me some images and like a PowerPoint he put together. And he didn't like the characters were him, but it wasn't him, and like AI generated it. And I was just like, why didn't
Yeah.
you use your own picture? He's like, oh, AI created this. And I was like,
Hmm. Yeah, you can do so much with it. We just tapping in just a little bit, but
right,
so much you can do with that. Then also they can recognize your voice. You can use your voice, your
mhm,
look, just
right,
so much stuff. Like when we be like, you know how when you're on your social media and you see stuff and we're like, oh, that's not real. That's AI. Where's
right.
AI? They're using people and all this stuff. So it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know, but I just like to hear people's thoughts on what they think about it, as far as when it comes to creative sense, because they can.
Yeah, I like to have my own, but
Yeah.
yeah, for large writing projects, like, like data or
Hmm.
I could use it for like some of that condensed or, concise work, I'll
Yeah,
use.
I can understand with that and stuff, but yeah, just like for creativeness, I don't know if I
Yeah.
agree with it with like being creative or anything.
Yeah.
But anywho, so what would you tell someone who, like you said earlier, who's at the beginning stage or want to be an author? What advice would you give them?
I think centering whoever your audience is, making sure that you consider what they want. Like for me, it was children, and like I told you, like I wrote that story summer 2021, I'm sorry, 2011, 2011.
Hmm.
And I didn't publish it till 7 years later. So it wasn't like I was like in a
Mhm.
rush to publish it. I had to figure things out. I actually taught some more, probably and refine some things. But that first year I wrote it, it was just on paper in my phone and I typed it
Mhm.
out. And I read it a few times to children without any illustration, just read it. And
Yeah.
just to get their reactions and see, did they laugh at it? How did they react? And so me kind of doing that, I was able to see, okay, this part's too long, or they find
Right.
this humorous. So it was like they were like a test trial. So making sure like I'm not writing what I think people, but really thinking about like the audience and would they like it. Um, Also get it written down. I think a lot of people I've run into, they want to write a book or something and they just say, I got this idea. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just write it. Just start writing, brainstorming, getting your thoughts out, even if it doesn't make sense at first. And it will help you kind of move the process along. But if you just have it up here and
Mm.
you know, like I think just kind of getting it out, people they're like perfectionists, like they feel like they see a finished product, someone else's work, and they're like, well, I can't do that. And it's like, if you're going to be the author, you just have to start. So yeah, those are the two biggest things. And just not do it, like not aim for fame or profit, but aim for like quality. Like you want your work to be really quality. And I feel like if you aim for that and you really have good intentions and you keep the audience, the other stuff will kind of fall into place. The opportunities will fall into place from that.
So just basically just be authentic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Well, we're coming to the end of our interview. I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and then there's no right or wrong answer, so you don't have to really think about it. It's just whatever comes to your mind. And then after that, we will be done. So, do you prefer teaching or being a student?
Mm. I would say equally both. That's kind of hard, but if I had to choose, I would say teaching. Yeah.
Why teaching?
Um, because I get to share what I've learned over time, like kind of my failures or challenges and my successes, and kind of use those in my modeling to help others find their way. And I like to do that. Yeah.
Are you more of an introvert or extrovert?
Ooh, I'll talk about this. So I used to be more of an extrovert. I think I've grown more into an introvert now.
Okay.
People wouldn't believe that. My friends don't believe because they're used to like the old me because I'm like moved away for so long. But I actually enjoy being at home and retreating, but I can be both. It just depends on the setting, but I like to be
Okay.
in my own little space. Yeah.
I know that's right. Which food do you prefer? Italian, soul food, or Mexican food?
Mm, I could probably eat Mexican food more than soul food. Yeah,
And
definitely.
and Italian too?
No, I think I can eat Mexican the most. Actually, you didn't put seafood on there because that's my top one, seafood.
Really?
But since those are my options, I would say I could survive on tacos and nachos and stuff.
I want taco.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you prefer gifts or experiences?
experiences definitely.
Why? Why experiences?
I just got back from Bali, with my friends, like in mid-August. We went in the early August to mid-August, and that was just like a trip of a lifetime. Like, it was for a friend's birthday, so I joined it was only four of us that went, but um, yeah, it's just like so memorable. Like I got to ride an elephant, like a monkey, like
Picture?
yeah, I do. Yep, on my Facebook. If you have Facebook and stuff, or TikTok, I'm on TikTok
Yeah, of
too.
course. I got a
TikTok.
couple of social media platforms, not all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Bali, huh?
Mm.
Was the weather nice?
It was like not too hot, not too cold. It was perfect. Like absolutely perfect. And now I'm heading to Zanzibar this summer for a friend's 40th. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
I'm just now getting back into my travel bag because I was finishing my PhD, so that was like 6 years. I didn't, and my mom was sick. And then, she passed away. So I'm just now kind of like getting back into that because I actually love travel and experiences and
Hmm.
a little more of that. So yeah.
Yeah. And are you part of a book club?
Book club. I'm a part of a writing club.
That's close enough.
Yeah, I'm not a part of a book club. I actually I watch people and I think it's so cool because I see them online. One of my like little cousins, she runs one in Louisville, Kentucky, and she has a book account. She has tens of thousands of followers and she recommends books and I
Mhm.
just think it's so cool how she's grown.
Yeah.
But I wish I could read for leisure right now. I don't have the time to read leisurely like I want to because I'm writing so much. Like I'm writing so many academic. I have to read for work. Like I'm reading to
Right. So it's like,
write. Yeah, I'm reading articles and books in order to write articles. My own articles. So it's not as fun. But yeah, I would love to join. I'm a part of a writing group where we write academic writing. We meet every other week and stuff, but I would love to be a part of a reading group someday. Maybe that could be a goal, like a resolution for me, like a
okay. Well, with that being said, I would love to invite you to be a part of my book club. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel on YouTube so you can see the other video interviews that I have from other authors and their
okay.
books. So you can kind of read their material and go from there and see what you like. And
What's the name of your book club?
it's my Red Book Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you can just subscribe to my channel and then you can, like I said, I'm going to be posting more interviews this week. I just be so busy. I can understand when you say you're busy. I really do, but I'm really trying to, I want this podcast to be, yeah,
Yeah.
be big.
How
So,
did you like the books? Do you have
um, which books? Like the
my
people,
book? My books.
I love them
Are
because it
them-
gave me an insight on actually these books can benefit adults as well.
Mm.
It's not just for kids because a lot of the content that you wrote about in the books, a lot of adults deal with still. It's just not for little kids. You wrote it for little kids, but I can see the Black girl image a lot and a
Mm.
lot of things that grown women do, like,
Yeah.
when it comes to the style of your hair, how you dress,
I
how you
love it.
speak,
Yes.
how you talk, how you walk, the kind of friends you have, the environment you're in. It's just so many different dynamics.
Mhm.
And I really like that you wrote that about girls, because especially Black girls, because we need that. And then the Shawn Trail, oh my God, I'm like, oh my God, he's so full of himself. Just like when you get that dose of reality check, people don't really like that feeling. I've
Yeah.
been there before. I know what that's like. But hey, it's a part of life, and he is a young Black man. Women can experience that as well.
The humility. Yeah.
Uh-huh, where you just, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can't be boastful all the time. You
Yeah.
get knocked down real quick.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing a wonderful job with the books. To me personally, um, I like the content. And
Thank you.
like I said, I wanted to buy the other book, which I know I am. I know I'm gonna get another copy.
I'll send you one. Yeah, send me your address and I'll send those to you.
You are so sweet, girl.
Or
Um, I would definitely do
if I'm in Indy, we can meet in because I'm in Lafayette. So yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm far from you. You're in Louisville. I mean,
No, I'm in Lafayette, Indiana.
okay, I'm still far.
Where are you?
I'm in South Bend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can mail it to you.
Yeah,
Just
I'm at the top, you at the bottom. But it's cool. I'll make it work. There's no problem. I like to move around. I love to drive, love to travel. So that's no problem. But yeah, I think like I said, just keep doing what you do. Like
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you for offering to interview me, and I will check out all of your stuff and join your book club.
No, and I appreciate that. And I want to do this again if we can, real
Okay.
soon with the other books you told me that
Okay.
I want
Awesome.
to do this again. So, but until then, I would just go off the books that I already have. I'm gonna give these to my one little cousin. I'm gonna let them read it and see what they think.
Yeah, let me know how they respond. If they do the activities, send them to me so I can see.
Yeah, I didn't even want to mark in the books
Yeah.
either with the
You can
activity.
copy it if you don't want them to write in it either. So
Okay. Well,
Bye.
thank you so much, Brianna, for and
You're
you know I never
welcome.
asked you that. Do you like me calling you Brianna,
Either one. You can call me. It's Breanya.
Brianna?
Call me Bree. Yep. Anya. It's Breanya. Yep.
Okay. Because I was like, is it Brianna? Brianna.
Yeah.
You know, everybody spell their names different. I don't like people torturing my name. My name is Niteria.
Niteria. Okay.
And
All
people
right.
be putting all type of letters in there, and
Yeah.
I just say, just call me Nye. So we're good with that.
Either one, Bree or Brianya is fine. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I will be in touch, Bree, and you have a good
Thank
day.
you. You too.
All right. Bye.